Have you ever asked yourself why happiness feels so close in the morning, then feels far away by nightfall? And have you ever noticed that the harder you chase happiness, the more it behaves like a shadow that runs when you run? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to tell a Buddhist-inspired story about staying happy. Not in the fake way where you force a smile, but in the real way where your heart becomes steadier, even when life stays unpredictable. The core idea is simple. Permanent happiness does not come from perfect situation. It comes from understanding the mind that keeps demanding perfect situations. When you understand the mind, you stop feeding suffering. When you stop feeding suffering, peace becomes possible, not as a mood you beg for, but as a foundation you build. There was a young man named Arine who lived in a city where people moved fast and never looked up. He had a decent life on paper. He had friends, a phone full of contacts, a job that paid enough, and a family that worried about him in the ordinary way families do. Yet every morning he woke up with an odd heaviness in his chest, like someone had placed a stone there while he slept. Arine told himself the heaviness meant he needed more. More money, more recognition, more fun, more love, more certainty. He did what most people do when they feel empty. He tried to fill it. He filled it with shopping. When he bought something new, he felt a short spark of excitement, like warm light on the face. Then the spark faded and the stone returned. He filled it with attention. He posted pictures, checked reactions, counted approval like it was oxygen. When people praised him, he felt high. When they ignored him, he felt low. His mood became a puppet pulled by invisible strings. He filled it with planning. He made schedules, goals, lists, backups for backups. He told himself that if he could predict everything, he could finally relax. But the more he planned, the more new worries appeared. He was building a cage and calling it control. One afternoon, Arine met an old friend named Mira at a small cafe. Mira looked different, not richer, not more fashionable, not louder, just calmer. The kind of calm that feels like shade on a hot day. Arine asked her, honestly, "How are you so okay all the time?" Mira smiled. She said, "I am not okay all the time. I just stopped treating every feeling like a command." Arine did not understand, so he joked, "That sounds like a quote from a book." Mira said, "It is something I learned from a monk in the hills outside the city. I went there when I was exhausted. He did not teach me how to win life. He taught me how to stop losing myself." Arine felt skeptical, but the word exhausted hit him, because he was exhausted too. And he was tired of pretending that exhaustion was normal. So that weekend, Arine took a bus to the hills. The monastery was not grand. It was quiet. Trees moved slowly in the wind. Birds sounded like they had no deadlines. The air itself felt less sharp. Arine walked through a gate and saw an old monk sweeping the ground with steady, patient strokes. Arine waited, then finally spoke. "I want to be happy." The monk kept sweeping. He did not react like someone hearing a dramatic request. After a while he said, "Sit." Arine sat on a stone bench. The monk finished sweeping and sat across from him. The monk's eyes were gentle but clear, like someone who had seen many storms and stopped arguing with the sky. The monk asked, "What do you think happiness is?" Arine answered quickly, "Feeling good, feeling calm, not worrying, having the things I want." The monk nodded slowly. Then he asked, "And when you have the things you want, how long do you stay happy?" Arine hesitated. He thought of the new phone excitement fading in days, the compliment fading in minutes, the vacation ending too soon, the promotion bringing new pressure. He admitted, "Not long." The monk said, "Then your happiness is a visitor. You keep building your house for visitors and forgetting to build your own foundation." Arine frowned. He said, "So what is the foundation?" The monk answered, "Understanding." Arine asked, "Understanding of what?" The monk said, understanding of the mind. Aryan felt annoyed, because this sounded vague. He wanted steps. He wanted a trick. He wanted a promise. The monk saw the impatience on his face and smiled slightly. The monk said, "Let me tell you a story. Long ago, a man went to a market to buy happiness. He asked every seller, 'Do you sell happiness?' Some laughed. Some lied and sold him sweet drinks. Some sold him shiny objects. Some sold him titles. He bought everything and carried it home. His arms were full, his wallet empty, his house crowded. That night he sat among his purchases and felt the same emptiness. He cried, because he realized he had bought many things, but he had not bought peace. The next day he returned to the market and shouted, 'You are all frauds. You promised happiness.' An old woman selling simple candles looked at him and said, 'The market sells conditions, not peace. Peace is made, not bought.' The man asked, 'How do I make peace?' The old woman said, 'Stop arguing with reality. Stop clinging to what changes. Stop running from what you feel. That is where peace begins.' Aryan listened, and something inside him softened. He realized he had been trying to purchase an emotion and call it a life. He asked the monk, 'What does it mean to stop arguing with reality?' The monk picked up a dry leaf from the ground and held it gently. 'This leaf fell because it is autumn. If I scream at the tree, will spring come sooner? If I pretend the leaf is still attached, will it become attached again? Reality does not bend to our complaints, but our suffering bends when we stop fighting what is already true.' Aryan wanted to object, but he could not. He knew the leaf was right. He knew his mind often fought reality in small ways all day. He fought traffic. He fought other people's moods. He fought mistakes. He fought waiting. He fought being misunderstood. He fought his own emotions. Every fight consumed energy. No wonder he was tired. The monk continued, "If you want to be always happy, you must learn 3 understandings, not as slogans, as practice." Aryan leaned in. "Ready," the monk said. "First, happiness that depends on outside conditions will rise and fall like weather. If you want steady happiness, you must build an inner steadiness that does not collapse with every cloud. Second, the mind creates extra suffering by repeating stories. The event is one arrow. The story is many arrows. Most people bleed from the extra arrows. Third, compassion is not decoration. Compassion is protection. Without compassion, your mind becomes a harsh place to live, and no amount of outside success can feel peaceful inside a harsh inner home." Aryan wanted to say, "Okay, but how do I do that?" The monk said, "We start with something simple. We start with attention and breath." He told Aryan to sit comfortably and notice his breathing. Aryan tried. Within seconds, his mind wandered. He started thinking about whether he was doing it right, whether this would work, whether he was wasting time, whether he should leave. The monk said quietly, "Do not fight the thoughts. Notice them and return. The return is the training." Aryan returned. He wandered again. He returned again. It was frustrating. Then the monk said a sentence that hit Aryan deeper than expected. "Be as kind to your mind as you would be to a child learning to walk." Aryan realized he was cruel to himself. Every time his mind wandered, he called himself weak. He called himself broken. He insulted himself in a voice so harsh, he would never use it on a friend. No wonder he could not be happy. He lived with an inner bully. So he tried again, but this time, he softened the inner voice. When he noticed wandering, he said inwardly, "Okay, return." The practice became less like punishment and more like care. After some minutes, Aryan felt his shoulders drop slightly. His breath became a little deeper. The stone in his chest did not vanish, but it felt lighter, as if it had more space around it. The monk said, "You see, happiness is not always a firework. Sometimes it is the quiet relief of not attacking yourself for a moment." Aryan stayed at the monastery for a few days. Each morning he practiced breathing and returning. Each afternoon he helped with simple tasks: carrying water, cleaning, gardening. The work was not glamorous, but it felt grounding. He noticed something strange. When he did one task fully, his mind became quieter. When his mind became quieter, he felt more content. When he felt more content, he needed less. Need less is not poverty. Need less is freedom. One evening, Arine sat with the monk and admitted something. I came here to be always happy, but I still feel sadness sometimes. I still feel worry. The monk nodded. Good. That means you are alive. Arine looked confused. The monk said, always happy does not mean never sad. It means you stop being destroyed by sadness. You stop adding panic to sadness. You stop adding self-hate to worry. You stop turning passing emotions into permanent identity. Arine thought of how he used to say, I am an anxious person, like it was a life sentence. He realized anxiety was often a wave that became a flood because he panicked at the wave. The monk said, let me show you the difference. He pointed to a small stream near the monastery. The stream flowed around rocks, not through them. The monk said, emotions are like this stream. They move. If you build a dam of resistance, the water rises and floods you. If you let the stream flow with awareness, it passes, Arine said quietly, listening to the water. Then the monk gave him a deeper lesson about karma, the kind that touches destiny without needing superstition. The monk said, your mood today is often the harvest of what you repeated yesterday. If you repeat resentment, you harvest bitterness. If you repeat gratitude, you harvest warmth. If you repeat comparison, you harvest insecurity. If you repeat compassion, you harvest steadiness. This is karma as cause and effect. You do not need to believe in anything mystical to see it. Watch your own mind for a week and you will see the seeds you plant. Arine realized he had been planting seeds of unhappiness for years without noticing. He planted them in the morning by grabbing his phone immediately and consuming stress. He planted them by comparing himself to others. He planted them by insulting himself. He planted them by refusing to rest. Then he wondered why he felt empty. The monk said, now you can plant different seeds. Not with force, with consistency. Arine asked, what seeds? The monk said, return to the present. Speak kindly to yourself. Accept what cannot be changed today. Do what can be done today without hatred. And practice compassion. Because compassion softens the mind and softens the world you live inside. Arine left the monastery with no dramatic miracle, but with something better. Direction. Back in the city, life tested him immediately. A co-worker criticized him unfairly in a meeting. Arine felt he tries. His old pattern would have been to replay the moment all day, build revenge fantasies, and go home exhausted. This time he noticed the heat. He took a slow breath. He remembered the stream. He asked himself, what is the first arrow and what are the extra arrows? The first arrow was, someone criticized me. The extra arrows were, I am worthless. Everyone thinks I am stupid. My future is ruined. I must destroy them. I will never be respected. He saw the extra arrows as stories. He did not have to follow them. He responded calmly in the meeting, asked for clarity, and moved on. Later the co-worker apologized privately. Not because Arine won, but because Arine did not escalate. His calm changed the cause and effect. Another day, a plan he cared about fell apart. He felt disappointment. He let himself feel it. He did not call himself a failure. He did not turn it into prophecy. He breathed and adjusted. The disappointment passed faster than it used to. Slowly, people around him noticed something different. He smiled more naturally. He reacted less sharply. He listened more. His life did not become perfect, but it became lighter. One night, Arine sat alone and realized something that felt almost funny. He was happier than before, not because he got everything he wanted, but because he stopped needing everything to be perfect in order to breathe. That is serenity. That is wisdom. That is awakening in ordinary life. Now let me share the most important point from this story, because it is the point that can change your day immediately. If you want to be always happy, stop treating happiness as a mood you must force. Treat happiness as the result of a mind that stops feeding suffering. You will still feel sadness sometimes. You will still feel anger sometimes. You will still feel fear sometimes. But you will not be owned by them the way you were before. You will not build a whole prison out of one emotion. And that is what people really mean when they say always happy, not smiling all day. Free enough inside to return to peace again and again. Thank you for being here with me. If this story touched you, share in the comments what your mind overthinks most. What steals your happiness most? And what helps you come back to calm? And if you have your own story of learning peace through hardship, tell it, because someone else might need your words today. Please subscribe, like, and comment to support the channel. Keep practicing, keep returning. And remember, happiness is not something you chase until you catch it. Happiness is something you cultivate until it becomes your way of living.